Joining me now is celebrity and royal reporter Kinsey Schofield. Kinsey, really good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Let's start with Usher suddenly campaigning for Kamala Harris. Here he was at an event in Atlanta.
I love you more, but I love Kamala Harris even more. I want her to be our next president of the United States.
Now, it's quite a change of tune because only a month ago on The View, he was asked about Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, but he declined to endorse Kamala. This is what he said.
Find the candidate that you feel both are who fits the category of where we want to be. And that's it. And that's what you vote based off of. Who you highlight and how you choose to highlight it on whatever platform you have is your prerogative.
Kinsey, that is quite a turnaround in his opinion, in his stance in just the space of weeks. But here's where it gets interesting because people are suspecting that this sudden change in position may be because of the allegations levelled at Sean Diddy Combs. Why is Usher being brought into this now?
Usher was Diddy's protege, and obviously you're going to want to be friends with whoever is in charge, whoever is in power. I do think that the association is a distraction from the Diddy allegations, and it gives Usher credibility. But for Harris's campaign, it is a desperate and shameless stunt. I mean, if you are who you associate with, yuck. It was back in 2019 when Usher wrapped up his last herpes lawsuit. He faced multiple lawsuits accusing him of exposing sexual partners to herpes without disclosing the STD. We know those multiple lawsuits go all the way back to 2012. There was a settlement there. And in most jurisdictions throughout the U.S., that is considered a crime.
Yeah, it's just such interesting timing. You feel as though this may have a lot more to play out. So watch this space. You're spot on there. Now, Alec Baldwin, he has appeared on Saturday Night Live, but this was for the first time since he had that manslaughter charge from the fatal Rust shooting dropped. So he went on to SNL and he's pretended to be Brett Baer from Fox News interviewing Kamala Harris. Here's a bit of that exchange.
Now, when I interviewed President Trump, my first question was, what do you think is the most important issue facing our nation? So my first question for you is, give me the exact number of murderers you let loose in this country.
Well, Brett, I'm glad you brought up the topic of immigration.
1 million, 2 million?
Okay. The first thing we did in office was to introduce a bill.
10 million? Give me a number.
Brett, we came up with a bipartisan
But
bill.
didn't have a number, though.
May I please finish?
I'm asking you to.
Well, then you have to listen.
Well, I can't because I'm talking.
Well, when will you stop?
And maybe when I go to bed?
I've got to say, though, that impression of Kamala Harris was quite spot on. But, Kinsey, how has his return been received in the United States, particularly in the wake of all those court proceedings?
Well, Alec Baldwin's presence on SNL is almost mandatory during a campaign year. He famously used to do Trump impressions. The audience loves it. And unfortunately for the family of Helena Hutchins, her death is not on the mind of the audience. They seem to be welcoming him back, which, breaks my heart for her family.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's almost as if that's all been forgotten. That's a very, very fair point. Now, Kinsey, Donald Trump has taken quite a savage swipe at Katy Perry, who we know has in fact endorsed Kamala Harris. But what's Donald Trump had to say about the singer?
Well, yeah, so Katy jumped onto a Zoom call on Friday to support Kamala's campaign, and a Trump source responded to TMZ by saying both Kamala Harris and Katy Perry's careers are on decline. The decline curves that parallel our failing economy and border security under Kamala's watch. And I mean, this as well as I do. They're referencing the release of Katy Perry's lead single, Woman's World. It flopped with a 1-star review from The Guardian. It peaked at 47 in the UK, 63 in the US. And it's a disappointing release when you remember that Katy once tied Michael Jackson's record for sending 5 songs from a single album to #1. That's no longer her reality.
I've got to ask you just on that. Do you think that she's in her flop era? I mean, here in Australia, she's just come recently to perform at the AFL Grand Final. She's announced a series of concerts. But do you think that she's past her time now?
I think she made a lot of poor decisions throughout this record. You know, you can't sing It's a Woman's World and work with an accused sex offender. You know what I mean? Like the optics don't look right there.
No, the optics look terrible, but I personally think she's in a flop era, which is a shame because you're right, she was so good once upon a time. Now, this is quite funny, Kinsey, because American couples are having to impose booze bans on their weddings because of the upcoming US election. What is going on here?
Yeah, I mean, well, there is an increase in popularity in fall weddings in the States, which could potentially end up in a smackdown thanks to our contentious election season. It's the New York Times that's reporting that they've seen an increase in couples opting not to serve alcohol at their weddings and to display no politics signs around the venue to ensure that there is no fighting throughout the festivities.
I mean, is it really that bad? Are people that passionate and that angry that they're going to get into a fight at a wedding of all places, Kinsey?
I'm not going to invite you to my house for Christmas because obviously you are too pure. You are too pure.
I clearly must be way too pure. You're spot on. I just think it's just so funny that people are having to put booze bans on at a wedding. But clearly this is polarising the US public. So there you go. Now let's move on to Cheryl Hines. She has opened up about her relationship with husband Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and has addressed how she dealt with rumours surrounding his alleged sexting affair with political reporter Olivia Nuzzi. Kinsey, so she's broken her silence here. What's she said?
She says she's writing a book. I mean, Olivia must be shaking in her boots because Cheryl says, you know, rumors are rumors. I'm trying to grasp everything. I'm trying to stay calm, but I'm writing everything down. I've got everything in writing. So, I mean, talk about a deep tease. We don't know when we're going to get it, but obviously it's going to be good because she is saying, look, I'm processing the rumors. She's kind of acknowledging that it comes with the Kennedy territory, but I had no clue that she was preparing to release a book, and this might just be the juiciest chapter.
Look, can you take us back here? So what actually happened? How long has this alleged affair been going on? Because this is quite juicy. Can you give us a bit of a history?
Well, yeah, Olivia Nuzzi was assigned RFK Jr. She is a political reporter, and she was assigned RFK Jr. last year to do a profile on him. And it's her fiance, or her ex-fiance, I should say, that allegedly threatened to blackmail her over this affair. He's out of a job right now. She's out of a job right now. And the only person that seems to be completely in the clear is RFK Jr. But it allegedly was just an emotional and sexting relationship. Olivia acknowledges it. RFK Jr. says that it's absolutely not true, and she's kind of a crazed fan. But it is interesting that it's the Kennedys that always end up with their hands clean after these kind of chaotic events.
Well, I was just going to ask you just one more question on this because I'm finding it quite interesting. Will this at all have an impact on Robert F. Kennedy Jr. or, as you said, he's just wiped his hands of it? He's never going to be in trouble for this?
I don't think he'll be in trouble for this. I would love to know what magic the Kennedys have that gets them out of absolutely every instance. You know, his father was accused of murdering Marilyn Monroe, and everything's okay over there. So I'd love to know what it is about the Kennedy family. But he's still campaigning with Trump, still deemed, somebody that is potentially going to be associated with the Trump administration if he wins. Wow. What is it like to be in Washington?
Yeah, what is it like? That's a really good point. Kinsey Schofield, really nice to speak with you. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you.